Welcome students. So today we move on to civics lesson number 2, central government. So central government is the government that we have at Delhi. So you have to remember that. Okay. The central government is the supreme government in our country. So the main government in our country is the central government. The headquarter of the central government is at New Delhi. So where is the main office for the central government? That's a headquarter. It is at Delhi. Articles 52 to 78 in part 5 of Indian Constitution deals with the union executive. So union means central. So for the central government to execute its laws, the laws are given in article 52 to 78 in the part 5 of the Indian Constitution. Again, you have to remember, constitution means laws. The makers of the Indian Constitution, by giving due recognition to the vastness and plural character of our nation, have provided a federal arrangement for her governance. So, those people who worked on making the Constitution, they kept in mind two things. One is, India is a vast country and we have a plural character. Plural character means we have so many states and each state has their own character. So they kept these two in mind and they provided a federal arrangement for the government. The central government consists of three organs. So there are three main parts for the central government, which is very important. One is the union executive, the next one is legislature, and the next one is judiciary. The union executive consists of the President of India, the Vice President, and the Council of Ministers. Council means group of ministers who are headed by the Prime Minister and the Attorney General of India. Okay. The legislature is known as the Parliament. Now, if you look at this table, you will understand better. So, central government has got three main organs: executive, legislature, judiciary. Under the executive, who are the people present: President of India, Vice President, Prime Minister, and Council of Ministers. Council means group of ministers. Under the legislature, we have the Parliament, and in the Parliament we have two groups, which is Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Under Rajya Sabha, we have 238 elected members. They are from the State Assembly. And 12 people are nominated. Nominated means elected by the President. Whereas Lok Sabha, if you see, there are 543 people. They are elected by the people of India, and 2 people are nominated by the President himself. And under the judiciary, we have the Supreme Court of India, Chief Justice of India, and we have 27 judges. Now coming here, now the legislature is known as the Parliament. It consists of two houses. So we instead of calling them groups, we call them as two houses. One is the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. The union judiciary consists of Supreme Court of India. So under the three main subdivisions we have learned. Now the first person we are going to learn is President of India. So the President is the nominal executive authority. So he is the basic executive, a person who can put forward or execute the laws put by the government is the President. The chief executive of the Indian Union is the President. So who is the main executive person of the central government? It is the President. Union means central, remember that. He is designated means he is given as the first citizen of India. So he is actually the first citizen of India. He is the supreme commander of the armed forces. So the army has got the power, right? So the complete army is being who is the head of that armed force? It is the President. The President is also the constitutional head of the Union Executive. So he is the head of the Union Executive. That's what we are learning. Under Union Executive only we have the President of India. According to Article 53 of the Constitution, the executive power of the Union shall be vested in the President, which shall be exercised by him directly or through officers subordinate to him in accordance with Constitution. So, who has given this right to the President? Article 53. So, he has the right to execute the powers. He himself can do it, or he can do that by giving orders to his subordinate officers. Then we have classification for the election of the president, or you can qualification. Okay, he should be a citizen of India. This is a very important part which you have to know. So the president of India should be a citizen of India. He must have completed the age of 35 years. So only after 35 years he can become the president of India. He must not hold any office of profit under the union, state or local government. So he cannot be an office person either in the union or in the state government or in the local government. He should have the other qualifications required to become a member of the Lok Sabha. So he should also have qualifications to be a member of the Lok Sabha. His or her name should be proposed by at least 10 electors and seconded by another 10 electors of the electoral college which elects the president. So there is a group called electoral college, and they have to propose, they have to say this person is eligible or he can become the president. So 10 electors and then again seconded by another 10 electors. The president cannot be a member of the parliament or of a state legislature. So he cannot be a member of the parliament, or which is also called as the state legislature. If he is a member of any legislature, that is law, his seat will be deemed to have been vacated. So if he is, just imagine, he is there in the member of parliament, but if he is chosen, he has to vacate that, and then only he can assume the office of the president. Then only he can come to the presidency. Next we have, it is a well-known fact that the President of India resides means lives at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. So he is living where? His home is at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. The residence and the office of the President are located in the same building. So he has got his office and his house in the same building. However, he has two other office cum residences where he conducts office at least once a year. So apart from Rashtrapati Bhavan, he has got two more places where he can reside and do office work. They are the retreat building at Simla and the Rashtrapati Nilayam at Hyderabad. These locations, one is in the north, so Simla is in the north and Hyderabad in the south. Symbolize means shows the unity of the country and the unity of the diverse culture of the people. Diverse means different culture of the people. Now, election of the president. How a president is elected? The president is elected by an electoral college. I told you, a group. In accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. So they are doing it by a transferable vote. The electoral college, what does it consist of? It consists of elected members of both houses of parliament and elected members of the states and elected members of National Capital Territory of Delhi and Puducherry. So you should know who are the group. Electoral college, we said it's a group of people, right? Under that, who are they? We have elected members from both the houses. Which are the both the houses? Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. The members will be there. And then elected members of the states. So each state will have a member elected. Those people will be there. And elected members of the National Capital Territory. So capital, we already know it is Delhi, and we have Puducherry also. Once elected as the president, has to take an oath. So once a person is elected as a president, he has to take a oath of office. before the Chief Justice of India. So he has to take a oath before which person? Before the Chief Justice of India. The president is elected for a term of 5 years and can be re-elected. So he's got a term. How long he can be a president of India? For 5 years. Powers of the president. So what are the powers he has? Executive power. So executive is, say for example, a law is being made, but somebody has to execute it, work it out. That's called as execution. Article 77 requires that every executive action of the union shall be taken in the name of the president. So Article 77 says the central government, if they want to execute any law, it should be done by the name of the president. He appoints the prime minister. So second work is he appoints the prime minister, and he also appoints the other members of the council of ministers. Council of ministers, group of ministers, distributing portfolios. Portfolios is they are, suppose we have agricultural minister, we have tourism minister, so they are given some duties, okay, that's called as portfolios. So he gives them portfolios to them on the advice of the prime minister. So prime minister will advise the president, for this person you can give him this duty. So according to that he does it. He is responsible for making a wide variety of appointments. So he can do he can meet lot of people, he can make appointments with other people around the world also. These include the appointment of governors. So he has the power to appoint so many people, appoint governors of the states, he can appoint the chief justice, he can appoint other judges of the Supreme Court, he can appoint judges of High Court, he can appoint the Attorney General, the Comptroller, the Auditor General, the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners, the chairman and other members of the Union Public Service Commission ambassadors and high commissioners to other countries. So many people on the higher office, they are appointed by the president. Legislative powers. Legislature means law. He inaugurates the session of the parliament. So when the parliament comes together, the first day, the inauguration is made by the president by addressing it after the general election. So when will the parliament come into force? After the general election is over, the members are elected and then they will go to the parliament. That time the first inauguration is done by the president, and also at the beginning of the first session of each year. So now you know that 5 years they can be. So during that and every year first session will be his address talk. This address is essentially identical in nature to a speech from the throne. So the address means the talk made by the president is similar to the talk made by the throne. Throne means by a king. Okay, the president summons, that means calls parliament at least. He calls the parliament gathering at least twice in a year. So 2 times in a year. He may send messages to either house of the parliament with respect to a bill pending in the house. So he can send message to the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha if a bill is pending, if a law that has to be passed is pending. All bills passed by the parliament become laws of acts. So we should know this. So any bill that is passed, that is approved by the parliament, becomes what? A law. Only after getting assent of the president. So imagine you have a bill. Bill is nothing but it's a law. Okay, remember that. So a decision, we can keep it as a decision. So there's a decision that is approved by the parliament. Once it is approved by the parliament, it becomes the law for the country. But this will happen only after the president has given his approval. Money bills, so decisions cannot be introduced in the parliament without his approval. So anything related with money has to be approved by the president. President terminates means he can cut off the sessions of both or any of the houses of parliament. He can stop both the houses of parliament from functioning or either one of the houses. He can even dissolve the Lok Sabha. That means he can now members are being elected. Now he can say, okay, this is being dissolved. No more Lok Sabha members. So he can dissolve the Lok Sabha before the expiry of the term of the house. So Lok Sabha will be functioning for a particular period of time, and if he wants to dissolve it, he can do it. He nominates 12 persons who are eminent in nominate means he elects or he selects, you can keep. So he can select 12 people who are eminent, who are so famous in literature, science, sports, art and social service to the Rajya Sabha. He can also nominate 2 persons belonging to Anglo-Indian community to the Lok Sabha. So he can nominate 2 people who are Anglo-Indians to the Lok Sabha if in his opinion that community is inadequately represented in the house. That is, if there is not much members to represent that community, then he can do so. Financial power. Financial means money. Annual budget. Annual means a year budget, 1 year. Annual budget of the central government is presented before the Lok Sabha by the Union Finance Minister only with the permission of the President. So our country's budget is being presented where to the Lok Sabha. Who presents it? Your Union Finance Minister, and he has to get the approval of the President. He causes to be laid before the Parliament the annual financial statement, that is the annual budget or the Union budget we call it. The Constitution of India places the contingency fund of India is at the disposal of the President. So the fund, the money that he wants to give is at his disposal. If he says it is okay to give, then he can do it. No demand for a grant can be made except on his recommendation. He can make advances out of the contingency fund of India to meet any unexpected expenditure. He constitutes a finance commission after every 5 years. So he makes a commission, a group after 5 years to discuss on this. Okay. Then judicial. Judicial is judge. Okay, judgment pass. Okay, court pass. Article 72 confers on the President power to grant pardon. Pardon is we say in Tamil, no, mannippu. So he has the power to grant pardon, reprieve, respite or re-emissions of punishment. Say for example, somebody doing something bad has been put in prison, and if he decides to give him forgiveness, he can do it, or to compute the sentence of any person convicted of an offense, or he can also call for, if anybody is to be sentenced to death when they have made an offense, something wrong. Okay, that you have to keep in mind. Military power. Article 53(2) lays down that the supreme command of the defence force of the Union shall be vested in the President, and the executive thereof shall be regulated by law. So here we understand that even the defence, that is the army, is being led by the command of the President. Diplomatic powers. The President appoints Indian diplomats to other countries. Diplomats are people from India who will stay in another country, and they will have relation between our country and their country. That's called diplomats. So the President will appoint Indian diplomat people, high official people, to other countries and receive foreign diplomats, and foreign countries, abroad countries can also send their diplomats to India. The ambassador designates become ambassador after calling on the president and presenting his credentials, as treaties and agreements with foreign states entered into in the name of the president. So every law which is being signed, treaty means laws, okay, rule that is being signed will have the name of the president. Emergency pass. The president has been empowered by the constitution to proclaim national emergency. We have already learnt this. So if there is some emergency, then the president can call for emergency proclaim. Under which article 352, state emergency which is under 356, financial emergency under article 360. Kerala and Punjab are the states where the president's rule was imposed for a maximum number of times. So these two states in India, Kerala and Punjab, nearly 9 times both these states had whose rule is president rule. Not the chief minister was not ruling, the president was ruling. Now, removal of the president. Who can remove the president? The president may be writing under his hand addressed to the vice president, resign his office. So he can write to the vice president that he wants to resign. The president may, for violation of the constitution. So one reason is he himself will write his resignation. Another one is if he violates, if he goes away from the constitution, if he goes against the constitution, he will be removed from office by impeachment in the manner provided in article 61. So he will be removed from the presidentship by article 61. The impeachment action can be brought about in the form of resolution in either houses of the parliament. So if the president is found guilty and if he is to be removed, that has to be resolved. It has to come to the both houses of parliament and they have to decide, and then only he can be sent off. It must be supported by not less than 1/4 of the total strength of the house for its introduction. So nearly 1/4 of the people of the parliament should support that. The president shall, in spite of the conclusion of his term, continue to hold office until his successor enters upon its office. And same way, say for example, another person has to come and it takes time for the next president to come, he can still prolong till the other president is gets elected. That also can happen. Now we learn about the vice president. The vice president occupies the second highest office in the country. He is accorded a rank which is next to the president in the official warrant of precedence. This office is modeled on the lines of the American vice president. So vice president is a second person in the country and his model, it is in relation with the American vice president. Article 63 of the Constitution provides for a vice president of India. So which article gives this power? Article 63. This office has been created to maintain the political continuity of the state. Qualification for the election as vice president. He should be a citizen of India. He should have completed the age of 35 years. He must not hold any office of profit under the union, state or local government. He should have other qualifications required to become a member of the Rajya Sabha. Election and term of the vice president. Article 66 Part 1, the vice president, like the president, is elected not directly by the people. A president is directly elected, but he is not directly elected by the people, but the method of indirect election. The term of office of the vice president is 5 years. So how long he can become vice president? For 5 years he can be. His office may terminate earlier. So he can come out of the vice presidentship even before 5 years than the fixed term, either by, so he can come out by resignation. He may be terminated because of death. If there is death, he will not be there anymore. Or when he is gone against any law, then he will be removed. He is eligible for re-election. So say for example he can be re-elected one more time also. Till then, deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha can perform the duties of the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So the deputy chairman will take care of all the vice president activities. If the post of the president and vice president lie vacant, Chief Justice of India works as president. So imagine we don't have president and vice president. Who will come to take that post? Chief Justice of India. Chief Justice means lawyer, judge. Okay. This situation happened in 1969 when Chief Justice M. Hidayatullah was appointed as President of India in 1969. Removal of the Vice President. The Vice President may be removed from his office by a resolution by an agreement of the Council of States passed by a majority of all the then members of the council and agreed to by the House of the People. So the council should also agree, the House, Parliament House should also agree. A resolution for this purpose may be moved only after a notice of at least a minimum of 14 days have been given of such an intention. So resolution will be passed not immediately. Decision will not be passed immediately, but it will take 14 days. Functions of the Vice President. The Vice President is ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. He regulates the proceedings of the House. So he is a person who should give orders for the House to proceed. He decides the order of the House. How the House here in the sense Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. How it has to go about. What is the order that has to be formed that he gives. He decides the admissibility of a resolution or question. So if any question is supposed to come to the parliament, he has to decide whether he can allow it or not. He suspends or he can adjourn the House in case of a grave disorder. So if the parliament on that day is supposed to have so many disorders, not functioning well, or people there in the parliament are shouting off, then he has the possibility to suspend it. When the president is unable to discharge his duties due to illness or absence from the country, so if, for example, if the president of India is sick or he is in another country, then he can attend the function of the president up to a maximum period of how many months is 6 months. Casting vote. According to Article 100 of the Constitution, the Vice President can only cast his vote when there is a tie over the bill in the Rajya Sabha. So, a bill has to be passed in the Rajya Sabha, and say for example, let me put it this way, 50 people are against it and 50 people are for it. Now there is a tie, okay, there is a equalness. At that point of time, the Vice President can put his vote, okay, there. It means that there is need for one vote only to pass the bill. That means, so if he puts one vote, then a majority will be on one side, right? That for that purpose he can vote. No members have any right to oppose his decision. So none of them can oppose the decision that is made by the Vice President. So go through this as quickly.